What the Sigma?
Thank you, Matt. Very cool. Very cool. What the Sigma? It's been a while since we've heard that one. It's my duty. Yes, it is. Hello, everyone. Welcome on in to the stream. Oh my god. Sorry, I dropped my microphone. I knocked it over. Hope everyone's doing good today. We're back. The last stream for this week with the final episode of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. And almost the end of our Ace Attorney journey. Throwing stuff around already. Come on. I'm sorry. Cat, Ghost, Redacted. Yes, those are all my names. Well, it's potentially our last bit of Ace Attorney journey. We might play Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright if I can figure out how to play that on stream. We will. And also Ace Attorney 7 possibly being real. Maybe finding out this month. Who knows? We'll see. But for now, our journey's coming to a close. I have no idea what to call you. Saying Gabby is like dead naming you, except less worse. You can call me whatever you want. Cat, Redacted, whatever. Ace Attorney 7 is going to be at Summer Games Fest tomorrow! And yes, it is! Trust! It's gonna be real. Sigma God. Before we begin today, I have a brief announcement. As with the closed trial 10 years ago, some astonishing facts have come to light in these proceedings. The revelation that the well-known Reaper is actually an organization illegally executing its own brand of justice, and the discovery that a respected yard inspector was at its heart until he himself perished in an assassination plot. I don't like when he stands up. He's scary. Well, I say to all members of the judiciary here present on this occasion that we will stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings. Counsels, you will undertake this trial with the resolve, to pursue the truth to the bitter end. Resolve, yes, that's my favorite word this chapter. That's my intention. My lord, if I may inquire, the defendant may speak, I guess. I suppose you could talk. On what grounds is Kazuma Asagi permitted to continue in his role as prosecutor? Fair question. We just found out the man is like an assassin or something. He's like, yeah, I don't even know why I'm here. He has admitted to colluding with the victim in a plot to assassinate an innocent man. He's a what? Yeah, he was hired as an assassin. He shouldn't be enjoying the privilege of freedom, let alone leading the prosecution. Put this guy on trial. There's no, I love Kazuma. There's no way he should be prosecuting this case. He's just recovered from amnesia. He was just presumed dead for a year. He was an assassin, working as an assassin. Even if he didn't kill anyone, he was working with an assassination group. And tied to the victim, I submitted a written petition to Lord Strongheart, requesting that judgment of my transgressions be delayed by 1 day. Nice. Just please let me do this one trial. It's about my dad. Seems completely appropriate. What? You did what? In today's proceedings, I intend to expose everything. My whole life for the last 10 years has all been leading up to this one day. Kazuma. Whatever the outcome of this trial, I give my word that I will accept whatever punishment is deemed appropriate, however severe. And I suggest you prepare yourself for the same, Reaper. Like, I still think criminals can't be prosecutors while under investigation, man. I don't know. Yeah. Like, how are we gonna trust you to uphold justice? Kazuma is bristling with hostility today. I get the distinct impression we're heading into very dangerous territory.
Is that really even Kazuma-sama standing before us?
As an extreme exception to normal practices, I have granted this prosecutor's request. Yeah. The defense finds this acceptable, I presume? I mean, the only other prosecutor in London, apparently, is the one on trial, so I guess we gotta stick with Kazuma. Yes, my lord. Justly. In that case, in the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. Stop standing! The judge is not supposed to stand! We resume the closed hearing of Barak van Zeeks. The defense is ready, my lord. The prosecution is more than ready. Damn, he one-upped me. The queen is still alive in this. Yeah, take me back. Very well, then. This preamble has taken long enough. Prosecutor Asagi, begin. As you wish, my lord. The prosecution calls the first witness to the stand. It better be the judge. Yeah. Bring Shishiro Jigoku into the courtroom. At last, then, we've reached the final battle. He's putting literally everything on the line now in order to get to the truth. Come on, Renasuke. It's time for that steely resolve, because this is going to test it to the limit. New drinking game, take a shot every time somebody says resolve. It's the name of this game! Did you know this name? It's the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve, and this is the resolve of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Witness, state your name and occupation for the court. Huh. So it was you who issued this, was it? Ah. Your subpoena. I did what was necessary. I hate Bacardi next. I had Bacardi next to me. I'll play along. Yeah, I figured. That's what you meant. Your subpoena? I did what was necessary. Well, look what the young man has become. I didn't think I'd see the day when you take that tone with me, I must say. Ooh. The witness will ensure his responses are pertinent to the questions asked. My name is Shishiro Jigoku, a Supreme Court judge from the Empire of Japan. 16 years ago, this man came to London as a visiting student. 6 years later, he returned to Japan, as well as presiding over the Supreme Court. He is also currently Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. I am, of course, fully aware of Mr. Jigoku and his preeminent roles. I invited him personally to the International Forensic Science Symposium as a representative of his country. I hear he also played a key role in the conclusion of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. It was a great honor to be involved in the negotiations. I put my all into that treaty. Judge Jigoku, I must ask. Did you kill that guy? Oh. Murdering student? I was proclaimed innocent. You proclaimed me innocent. Well, I never. Fancy the young murdering student turning up here of all places. You acquitted me yourself, yeah. Now I'm a practicing defense lawyer. thought you knew this. Yes, and full of self-importance like your friend across the courtroom, I see. Oh my god. You came here to London by an invitation to the International Forensic Science Symposium. But then, without informing anyone of your plans, you took flight to France. Took flight? I'd have to object to that turn of phrase. It was by ship. And explain yourself. What exactly were the circumstances? Well, I was somewhat expecting this. And I'm sorry to say, I declined to comment. Damn it. What? Leaving the country prematurely when I was invited when I was an invited guest may be questionable etiquette, but it's not illegal. This guy. But my decision is unrelated to this case. I can't be bound to testify, brother. Unrelated, you say? I appreciate that a respected police inspector has been killed, for which I offer my condolences. However, being an alien, I'd obviously never met the man, nor do I know the first thing about him. As such, I'm in no position to testify. It's as simple as that.
So you would run from all this?
I beg your pardon?
What are you, a coward? What are you, a loser? This case is more far-reaching than the murder of Inspector Gregson. It has ties to another murder, a case that was tried in Japan almost a year ago now.
What a rat! A year ago in Japan, the murder of Dr. John H. Wilson, you mean? That's right! And you, Judge Jigoku, are at the heart of both cases. The defense has evidence to prove it.
It was found in your office.
Well, Renosuke, I see from that look in your eyes. Ah, yes, the one other murder that happened a year ago in Japan. That you resolved, shot, to carry this through to the very end, too. Let's see your evidence, then. Sure. What proof do you have that Shishiro Jigoku is involved in this case? Uh-oh. The telegram!
Take that!
This is a telegram detailing a communication set between Britain and Japan approximately 1 year ago. The communication contained 4 names. Uh-oh. Guess whose name was also on it, Mr. Asagi? K. Asagi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, and J. Wilson. you little... Ah! Where did you get that? In Tokyo. From your office, Judge Jigoku. Don't question my illegal methods of stealing evidence. No one ever questions it in these games. Oh! What? That scared me! You scared me, Matt! Gotcha! What? How on earth did you... What's this all about? Why is my name on that list? I am a terrifying man. The scariest. This list of 4 names follows a certain pattern. T. Gregson and J. Wilson are the names of victims. K. Asagi and A. Shin are the names of assassins. No. A year ago in Tokyo, Dr. John H. Wilson's life was taken in a Western-style restaurant in the capital. The culprit was found to be a visiting student who went by the name of Giselle Brett. But her real name was Asa Shin, a professional killer sent on a mission to kill from Great Britain.
A. Shin and her victim, J. Wilson.
And the murder that just took place here in London was the counterpart to that crime. An assassin sent from Japan, also a visiting student, Kazuma Asagi, whose victim was the British police inspector Tobias Gregson. I didn't do it though, I didn't kill him.
K. Asagi and T. Gregson.
Thank you, Suzato.
One assassin from each country to kill a target residing in the other.
What exactly is the defense suggesting? These two cases of murder, one that took place in Britain and one in Japan, were masterminded by a pair of individuals from each country as a form of assassin exchange. And the telegram the defense has acquired is proof of this international contract to kill. What? The telegram was found in your office, Judge Jigoku. In other words, the mastermind in Japan was you. Holy moly. Macaroni. Judge Jigoku, what's this all about? He didn't know? Brother, you're the assassin! What do you mean he didn't know who you were getting your orders from? You just like an unmarked letter just appeared and it's like, hey, go to Britain and kill this guy. And Cousin was just like, okay. Sounds good. I did want to be a lawyer, but I guess I'll kill people for now. And you, Kazuma, you lied.
You're a liar.
During yesterday's proceedings, you acknowledged that you'd accepted the assassination mission. But the mark wasn't Judge Jigoku at all. It was T. Gregson, Detective Inspector of Scotland Yard. As shown by the name on the killing contract. Very impressive, Rinnosuke. But actually, I didn't lie. The name of the target I was ordered to kill never passed my lips yesterday. Oh, this guy! This guy! The idea that Shishiro Jigoku was the mark came entirely from you. This guy, what the heck? You deliberately avoided saying a name. He's playing mind games. The defense claims these four names indicate some sort of international assassin exchange. I'm sure I'll speak for all present when I say that the very idea seems utterly absurd. Well, Mr. Jigoku, what do you have to say for yourself? His silence only goes to prove his guilt.
There's another very important point that this new development brings to light. There's now a distinct possibility that the scene of Inspector Gregson's actual murder was in the witness's cabin aboard the SS Grouse.
Judge Jigoku, you have to testify now. To refuse would put you in contempt of court. There's no need for quite such a vicious stare, young man. Very well then. As a parting gift to you all, I'll tell you everything I know. It seems this Japanese gentleman has information that the court must hear about the alleged assassin exchange and the events of the night of the 31st October. Spooky. Present your formal testimony now. As you wish, my lord.
The assassin exchange.
It's true that Kazuma Asagi was assigned the assassination mission 1 year ago now. The target was Inspector T. Gregson. That was a condition of the British study tour. Hey, if you want to become a lawyer, you gotta go and you gotta kill this inspector, okay? Don't question it. However, in the end, something happened that meant the young man was unable to carry out his mission. On the evening in question, a member of the crew was on duty outside my cabin at all times. If there'd been a shot fired, the crewman would have heard it, so clearly I can't be involved. That's not true. So you admit it then? As this communication suggests? It's not true because there was an evacuation drill at 10 p.m. for 20 minutes. There really was an assassin exchange arrangement between Britain and Japan? A political endeavor at the highest levels, not something I can discuss here.
To use such a worldly practice as foreign study to coerce somebody to commit murder is the most appalling thing I've ever heard.
Appalling? Well, it's easy to judge.
Pardon?
Asagi had a reason for taking his sword to that British inspector, you know. What? Is it? I'm guessing it's probably going to be tied to his dad somehow. Which is why he accepted the mission in the first place. Isn't that right, Counsel?
Kazuma-sama?
Judge-Goku, if you are the mastermind behind this operation in Japan, then tell the court the identity of your counterpart in Britain.
Nuh-uh. You gotta figure that out for yourself.
Yeah. I'm not obligated to divulge that information. Why protect them? As I said yesterday, I've killed nobody. Yeah, I don't think he has. I freely admit that I accepted the mission, but on the night the plan was to be executed, I backed out. In short, this assassin exchange that the defense has identified is unrelated to the events of this case. The crucial point is this. Your police inspector can't have perished aboard that steamship in Dunkirk. Because if he'd been shot in the cabin, it's inconceivable that a member of the crew wouldn't have heard it. That's right. Gregson was killed after returning to London, in the room on Fresno Street. And the perpetrator of the crime was the Reaper, Beric Van Zeeks. The prosecution's accusation remains unchanged. To think that a seemingly innocent foreign exchange program was a facade for such Machiavellian dealings. Clearly it's a plot only a government minister and high-ranking judge and such as the witness could hope to execute. Well, I seem to recall that it was someone on the British side who controlled everything. Suspicious. Be that as it may, it is not the place of this court to pursue this villainous assassin exchange plot. Oh, I bet it wouldn't be, buddy. We are concerned only with the tangible events pertaining to the murder of Inspector Gregson, which is tied to the assassination plot. Like, what? You can't just say, actually the assassination thing's irrelevant, except that the guy who was to be assassinated got murdered? Is the defense clear on that point, counsel? Sure, I guess. Yes, my lord. I'll keep that in mind as I cross-examine the witness. I already know what I'm pressing him on. Or presenting him on. I think I could jump straight to presenting. He said there was no time. There was an evacuation drill. 1 year ago now, the target was Inspector Gregson, blah 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 blah. However, in the end, something happened. Oh no, something mysterious. A member of the crew was on duty outside my cabin at all times. Except at 10 o'clock.
Objection!
And there's a refrigerator aboard the steamship, we know this. Yes, as the court has heard, there's a crewman posted outside Judge Goku's cabin. However, we can be sure that, contrary to the witness's claim, the guard wasn't there at all times. What? I have here a notice of a particular event that was scheduled to take place aboard the steamship on the 31st. Where did you get that? It's evidence gathered by Herlock Sholmes. You were acquainted yesterday, if you remember. Herlock Sholmes again. According to this itinerary, after leaving the port of Dunkirk at exactly 10 p.m. and for a period of 20 minutes, all crewmen of the SS Grouse were to gather on deck for an evacuation drill. All crewmen were away from their posts? And during that 20-minute interval, of course, any gunshots emanating from your cabin would have been heard by no one. In summary, Judge Jigoku, you had ample opportunity to commit the crime.
Objection!
A 20-minute window of opportunity. That's an excellent find, Ryunosuke. But it amounts to nothing. Why?
How can you be so certain?
Because the witness clearly stated in his testimony that no incident occurred in his cabin.
Well, he's a dirty little liar, Kazuma.
Unless you have some decisive evidence that can show his testimony to be false. Sure. Gregson's pocket watch was in his trunk. Your accusation is nothing more than conjecture. Very true. Well, counsel? Inspector Gregson was killed in Judge Jigoku's cabin that night. I'm certain of it. Because the defense has the evidence to prove it. You will present the evidence for the defense at once, counsel. What proof do you have that the victim's life was taken in Jigoku's cabin on the 31st October? Do I need to... Okay.
Take that!
Judge Jigoku, this was found in your cabin yesterday. What is that? The crown of a pocket watch? Pocket watch. And if you'll observe, the victim's pocket watch, which we know he treasured, is missing precisely that part. It can't be. Moreover, this crown is a perfect fit on the spindle protruding from the victim's watch. Now, the fact that this was retrieved from Judge Jigoku's cabin tells us that the victim's watch almost certainly broke there. In other words, the victim was killed on the 31st during the 20-minute evacuation drill. In the cabin occupied by you, Judge Jigoku. Well, you're razor sharp, aren't you, you young murderer? Stop calling me a murderer! I'm probably like the only not murderer here.
Objection!
Expertly maneuvered, Ryunosuke. And your argument sounds entirely plausible. At first. But rather like this pocket watch, it's full of cracks. What the? What? And I believe Judge Jigoku feels the same. I was wrong to acquit you earlier in the year. Puh. I tried to look at Ace Attorney stuff and accidentally did an Ace Attorney Wordle. Don't ask how I did, but it was crazy. It's awesome. Sorry. If I'd known that it would result in anyone having to listen to this drivel, I would have declared you guilty just to spare the world your ridiculous bombast. Damn! Brother. I think it's clear that the witness will have to give further testimony when you hear what actually happened in my cabin that night. Well, maybe you should have told the truth to begin with, instead of committing perjury. You'll notice the pitfall into which you've stumbled. Yeah. Are we listening to this actual high-ranking judge right now? Prior to your renewed testimony, I would like to clarify one point. The fact that this part of the victim's watch was discovered in your cabin That means that you acknowledge he was there, I presume? Yes, I do. Very well then. You may proceed to give your formal testimony about what exactly happened in your cabin aboard the ship on the evening of the 31st October. Of course, as a man of the law, I have no intention of obstructing justice. The events in the cabin. I had a guest waiting for me when I returned to my cabin after finishing my evening meal in the dining room. When I walked through the door, a mustachioed Englishman was there, foolishly waving a gun at me. I soon took care of him with an throw, though. He couldn't wait to run away after that. That was me? Matt, get out of his cabin. I was he. I imagine his watch was broken when I threw him over my shoulder. It has nothing to do with his murder. The inspector was clearly killed having returned to Britain, because his body was found in London. But he...
There's a refrigerator.
A common jujitsu martial arts technique in my country. Sorry, my massive mustache, which I definitely have, makes me do bad things. It's the mustache of evil. It whispers bad things to me. I was careful not to use too much force, but the man obviously landed too heavily for his watch to take. So, Renosuke Naruhodo, I imagine you can see the flaw in your logic now, can't you? What? The fact that the pocket watch was broken in the witness's cabin in no way proves that the victim's murder took place there. I've no doubt the inspector intended to kill me, but he didn't manage to pull the trigger. Yes, because he was merely the tactician, not the Reaper's hand of death. Well, the testimony appears to make perfect sense as far as I can tell. No, it doesn't. Let me express my deep gratitude for your understanding, my lord. But if this testimony holds, Shishigoku will be deemed to have had no involvement in the case. Well, counsel, I really see no reason for wasting precious court time here on a cross-examination. It's my right! I have a right to cross-examination. Sorry, my lord. The defense has a right to cross-examine, and I don't intend to squander that. You tell him, Renosuke. Stick up for yourself. Shut up! You're an embarrassment to your countrymen, not knowing when you're beaten. Shut up. Let's kill this guy, Renosuke. In that case, proceed, Mr. Naruhodo.
The events in the cabin.
Okay, let's press that last point he made. If it could go any faster. Okay.
But there's no evidence that proves the victim ever returned to London alive. And there's no evidence that proves he returned to London dead.
Just take a moment to think that idea of yours through now, stripling. What? If the inspector was killed on the steamship in France, how on earth could he have got back to Britain? When people die, their bodies remain at that same spot. It's a devil of a thing. Not if they're transported. Well, then, obviously the culprit must have moved the body. How exactly? Maybe in that big old trunk? That big old trunk that you were hiding in? That I'm just realizing something? Oh no! As I said that, I just remembered this photograph. Oh no, that's why we have the photograph. That's why they gave us the photograph. Are you telling me Gregson's in there? Oh no. Oh. That's why they gave us the photograph. Oh, what a cute photo. It's so cute. How exactly? Carrying a corpse off a ship in your arms would raise a few eyebrows at least, don't you think? Well, look at this photograph. Yes, that's true, but... All passengers' luggage is inspected when it is unloaded from arriving vessels. And I would like to think the border police would query the corpse of an English gentleman as hand luggage. If the murder had taken place aboard the ship, you would imagine the body would have been disposed of at sea. There would be no sense in risking being caught by attempting to transport the body back to Britain. Let's kill that idea then.
But perhaps not.
Mrs. Otto?
We've heard that the first-class passengers were under constant scrutiny by the crewmen posted to guard them, which would mean that the culprit had no opportunity to dispose of the body in the sea.
Yes, that's true. Actually, we let dead bodies on as normal luggage, only not hand, because sometimes they get a little bit stinky. Yeah. So transporting the body to Britain may have been the only viable alternative. Dear me, you really are new to this, aren't you? I thought I'd been perfectly clear, but it seems I'm going to have to explain it in words you can understand. I think I ought to alter my testimony. With your consent, of course, my lord. I have no objection. State your amended testimony now. There's no possible way I could have transported the victim's corpse back to Britain. Okay. That got me in the fact that I thought that I accidentally hit the present button early. I'm like, how did I do that? And I'm like, also, what happened to Renosuke's voice?
Objection!
There's no possible way you could have moved Inspector Gregson's body, you say. Sorry, gang. No, I love it. That was awesome. Your timing is fantastic. They sound kind of similar. I mean, you'd think they would, being related and all. There's no possible way you could have moved Inspector Gregson's body, you say. I would say the opposite is true. And what's that supposed to mean? They're related? This is Phoenix's great-grandpa. Far from being impossible for you to do. I'm very much out of the loop on Great Ace Attorney. I got you. This is Phoenix's great-grandpa. The transporting of Inspector Gregson's body back to Britain is something only you could do. I need to watch one or two bots. What are you talking about, Renosuke? As well as being a judge, Mr. Jigoku is also Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. Which means he's exempt from having his luggage searched when he enters the country. We learned that when we first met you upon your arrival in London. Well, all those passport checks and luggage searches at the border took rather a lot of time. I must say I'm very envious of your ministerial status. You didn't have to go through any of that, did you? Dude, if it's pre-certain dated September a few decades ago, they'd let anything on a boat. They don't care at all. I knew you were jealous. And considering Ace Attorney is pre that day, yeah. I presume you recall this, Judge Shigaku? It's a photograph we took in the foyer of the hotel to mark the occasion. And the court will note you have with you your large travel trunk. Large enough, in fact, to have a corpse inside. You were able to fit inside of it, Mr. Judge.
Mr. Naruhodo, surely you're not suggesting...
I'm afraid I am, yes. 3 days ago, when we were chatting innocently with the new arrivals from Japan in the hotel, the body of Inspector Gregson was just meters away from us, inside Judge Jigoku's trunk. That's crazy. What do you mean? His body was there the whole time. Order! Order in the court! I'm skeptical, counsel, that a grown man's body could fit inside even the largest travel trunk. We literally know it can. That's probably why they showed Jigoku in the trunk during the investigation segment, because we know it's possible. It could. Because I happen to know that the witness himself, a man of considerable size, fits inside his trunk. And verifying that would be extremely simple, wouldn't it, Judge Jigoku?
But inside his trunk, how horrifying.
And after we'd spoken with you at the Great Waterloo Hotel, you had the opportunity to visit the apparent scene on Fresno Street, taking your trunk with you in a cab to deposit the inspector's body. I don't have to listen to this nonsense. Dr. Gori, the coroner who examined the body, has confirmed the possibility. She's acknowledged there are signs that steps may have been taken to disguise the true time of death. Also, goofy motion. Enoch Driver fit in a safe about that size. True, he did. The onset of the body's decomposition could have been delayed by storing it in a refrigerator. Counsel, as I remember explaining yesterday,
There are no refrigerators in London.
refrigerators of the requisite size are few and far between.
But there was one on the ship.
Yes, I'm sure they are, but one place they're certainly found is on large ocean liners. Such ships are equipped with electrically refrigerated cold rooms to keep food fresh on their long sea voyages. And the SS Grouse is no exception. Professor Mikotoba told me about it only yesterday. Well, Judge Jigoku? However much you prolong this debate, you can't eliminate the truth. All the evidence points to you being the killer.
Got him.
Well, this is all very heartening. I can see that it was a wise move letting Asagi and you embark on this study tour. 'Twas a short trial, but a worthy one. What are you talking about now? Logical reasoning, of course. All court proceedings will be built on logical reasoning in the new century. And I can see that you've both laid firm foundations for that already.
Judge Jigoku, please stop diverting attention from the issue at hand. Just accept it.
Aww.
The defense has made an accusation against you. How do you respond?
Respond? There's really no need for me to respond, is there?
Why ever not?
Because before you can even begin to answer the question of when the victim was killed, and the century after it will be built on Tumble, you must first establish one key fact. Where was the victim killed? It's quite logical. I feel bad for this judge. He thinks it's going to be based on logical reasoning, and there's an entire country that just kills its defendants. The actual scene of the crime. The prosecution's stance is unaltered. The killing took place on Fresno Street when the gunshot was heard. As the accused, Barrick Van Zeek shot the victim at point-blank range. Since no tangible evidence exists to disprove the prosecution's claim at this time, the defense's deductions amount to little more than elaborate fairy tale. I'm afraid that's how logical reasoning, the British unknown for, really works, young stripling. Shouts out the dark age of the law where the ends justify the means. Let's go. The victim was shot in that little room on Fresno Street and died instantly. I'm afraid it's the prosecution's claim that's the only fairy tale here. How can you say that? It definitely gets better. Quite simply, because the claim directly contradicts a certain piece of evidence in our possession. Very tantalizing, counsel. I think you'd better explain yourself to the court, don't you? And to me, Ryunosuke. I have no idea what you're talking about. That's why I'm saving. The prosecution claims that Inspector Gregson died instantly. Okay. When he was shot at the scene on Fresno Street. But this evidence clearly contradicts that claim. No. Concrete shaft. Candelabrum for the wall. Oh, when is this photograph going to come into play? Autopsy. Evidence suggests measures may have been taken to disguise the time of death. Yeah, it's only indeterminate. Yeah, he was shot in instant death. I think we gotta prove it wasn't at Fresno Street. His body appears to be tightly curled up. Oh. Every photograph has a dead body in it. That's the Easter egg. Yeah. I tell my friend when they play Cities 3 to drink something non-alcoholic whenever someone says the dark age of the law where the ends justify the means. I think every photograph we have does have a dead person in it. I think you're right. Oh no, not these ones. Yet. I think it's this, because he's like curled. It notes that he's like curled up, like he was in a trunk.
Take that!
Okay. I don't want them to get liver damage after all. How kind. A photograph of the victim in the very location you claim he wasn't killed. Yes, but the point is the posture of the body itself. Oh, has there been any more resolves? Not yet. No more resolves. Yet. If Inspector Gregson had been shot there in that room, it's out of the question that his body would have been curled up in a ball like that. Phew. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but your logic is flawed. No, we're talking about Cities 3. It's kind. He could easily have adopted the fetal position due to the pain of the shot, which subsequently proved fatal, but I thought he was instantly killed.
Objection!
I'm sorry to disappoint you, Judge Goku, but it's your logic that is flawed. What? According to this autopsy report, the victim died instantly. He would have felt no pain, much less have been able to draw himself into that position. Shouts out Robin Newman and happy Pride. We love Robin. Which begs the question of why the victim's body is curled up in that way. Case 5? It's case 5. Though the answer should be abundantly clear by now. You're suggesting. The inspector's body took on that posture ahead of its arrival on Fresno Street, before it was coldly turned out on the floor. Woohoo! Case 5, amazing final case for real. It's so good so far. Before it was coldly turned out on the floor from the inside of a large travel trunk. No.
You're quite right. The shape of the body.
Oops.
It looks exactly as if it had been kept in a confined space.
Joshigoku, present your trunk for examination. The old man, yeah, he was yesterday, unfortunately. Just in time for Ace Attorney 7 to be revealed and released tomorrow at Summer Games Fest. Yes! No delusions here. It's gonna happen. I believe it's very possible that it will contain traces of the victim's blood. Zero delusions! Present my trunk? I refuse. Also, as a note, in Japan, it was a 6-character number code that used all 6 numbers, 523104. Oh. What? How does one believe in Capcom this much? Teach me your ways. Because he was Holmes, not Shelms. Yes. Oh, I was wondering about that. That is cool. On what grounds? I'm the Minister of Foreign Affairs from the Empire of Japan. I shouldn't have to put up with this treatment just because of some stripling's baseless accusations. Actually, they're gonna announce Tyrion Cuthbert too.
In other words, Joshigoku, there is blood in your trunk.
I decline to answer that. As the Minister of Foreign Affairs, I have... Oh, privileges, blah blah blah. At this moment, you're not a government minister. You are a witness in a trial in Britain's highest court. I don't care who you are or what your status outside this courtroom might be, you will not withhold information. Nothing is more important than the truth. Preach! Order in court. Well, Mr. Jigoku, what's it to be? You can't be serious. You did it? Have you no shame at all, Kazuma Asagi? What? Very well, I admit it. I did bring the inspector's body into the country. Inside my trunk, exactly as postulated by the defense. Cool, okay, lock him up. But you... Dear God, outrageous. So it was you! You admit to... Oh. To Inspector Gregson's... No, I admit nothing more than what I've said. Of killing the man, I certainly have no recollection. What on earth is that cryptic statement supposed to mean? I have amnesia, you see. It happens way more often than you think on these large steamships. I merely disposed of the inspector's body, which was left in my cabin, in order to avoid unwanted attention. As the judicial assistant over there pointed out, I had no chance to throw it into the ocean. So, I decided my only option was to bring it to Britain with me and dispose of it somewhere else. And frame, and do like a whole like setup and framing with like firecrackers and timers and dumping the body conveniently in this empty building. Like, brother. Too convenient. You can't still deny it. If you didn't do it, then who on earth did kill the man?
It was Kazuma Asagi.
As you know, there was one other person in my cabin that night. He had the opportunity. And moreover, he'd already accepted a mission to take the inspector's life.
Oh.
No, I know. I don't believe it. That's right. Who else could it have been? It was you, Kazuma Asagi.
No.
You. I never thought you'd stoop to this, Seishiro Jigoku. You've taken the words straight out of my mouth, Prosecutor Kazuma Asagi. You thought by leaving the body in my cabin you could pin the crime on me, did you? Well, the prosecution counsel has already admitted to visiting the witness's cabin on the night in question. Yes, on an assassination mission, no less. You wouldn't. So, what do you make of that, young stripling? You've heard my testimony, and that's all I have to say on the matter. I admit to nothing more. You've admitted to a lot, buddy.
I don't believe this.
Counsel for the defense. What is your position now? The court awaits your response to the witness's assertion. The assertion that on the night in question, the victim's assailant was in fact Mr. Kazuma Asagi.
No. They would not pull that.
This isn't the dead end it seems to be. The answer's right in front of me. It comes down to Jigoku, Kazuma. Both of them had the opportunity to kill Gregson, but only one of them did it. And I'm just a step away from proving who. Very well. The defense is ready to respond to the assertion put forward by Judge Jigoku. The idea that the victim's murder could have been committed by Prosecutor Asagi is... I think we have to go impossible. I feel like we don't want to start accusing Kazuma. Judge Jigoku, let me remind you of something you said only a few minutes ago. You claim that logical reasoning is the future of the judicial process. It is. No question. Well, logical reasoning can prove something here. Namely, that would have been impossible for Prosecutor Asagi to commit the crime. Ooh, jaunty theme. What? The court will only accept an argument that is supported by compelling evidence. Uh-oh. Panic save. Kazuma couldn't have done it because... I don't know. No.
Karuma.
Because all he had was his sword. He doesn't fight with a gun, Your Honor. He fights with his sword. So present what you have, counsel. What proof is there that allegedly demonstrates the impossibility of Prosecutor Asagi's involvement?
Okay, I don't know actually.
Okay, I'm guessing it's one of these two, maybe? Or the trunk. I don't know what the trunk would have to do with it. I'm a bit lost. We'll go sword.
Take that!
You're making the evidence weep here, Renosuke Naruhodo. Sorry. Examine your evidence. Every piece of evidence has a role to play in arriving at the truth. I've examined them all, I promise. They're not playthings you could toss around the courtroom for entertainment. Yeah.
Never mind the evidence. You're about to make me weep, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh no, I can't accept upset Susanoo-san or I'll end up being upset too. We know a member of the crew was on— oh, okay, it is the evacuation drill. Was on sentry duty outside the first-class cabins nearly all the time. So as long as the guard was there, it would have been impossible to fire a shot without it being heard. And that very much narrows down when the crime could have been committed. The court will only accept an argument that is supported by compelling evidence. Okay, thank you, Renosuke. You could have told me that to begin with. Now I know what to present.
Take that!
This itinerary for crew members on the SS Grouse, my lord. This is conclusive proof. An itinerary? How does that prove anything? Judge Jigoku, the moment you acknowledge that you found the victim's body in your cabin, this itinerary suddenly became much more significant. What? Why? On the night in question, as always, a crewman sentry was on guard outside your cabin door. As long as he was there, nobody could have fired a shot inside the cabin. Absolutely, because it's inconceivable that the guard wouldn't have heard it and come to investigate. So that tells us that the crime must have taken place when the guard was elsewhere. And that narrows it down to the 20 minutes just after 10 o'clock, as indicated on the itinerary. Yes, I see no flaw in your reasoning so far. Nice, cool, glad to hear you say that for once. You've been very against me this whole time. But the crucial point is this. When the evacuation drill took place, the steamship had already put to sea. Hey, Panquill, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. The steamship had already put to sea from the port of Dunkirk. Now, clearly the murder could only have been committed by somebody who was aboard the vessel at the time. But Prosecutor Asugi stated in yesterday's proceedings, I didn't come to Great Britain to take anyone's life, so I left Gregson and disembarked the ship. I spent that night at a boarding house in the town and returned to England the following morning. Which I'm sure the court will agree is conclusive proof. And we know he was there because he said I remember him mentioning that his name would have been on the ledger. That Kazuma Asugi couldn't have possibly carried out the killing. Absolutely not. I don't accept that at all. Well, you're not the judge. What do you mean? The boy's just saying that to exonerate himself. We can't trust that he really disembarked the vessel. Didn't he tell us that his name would be on the ledger at the boarding house? He is the judge, just not here, yeah. Obviously, after he left my cabin, he hid himself somewhere nearby on the ship. Just waiting for his chance to come back and— oh. No, that's out of the question. Isn't it, Kazuma? As the defense rightly recalls. Also, I think it's funny. Van Ziegs is still the one on trial here. Not Kazuma, not Judge Goku. I love how we narrowed it down to these guys. It's like, yeah, it could only be one of these two. But this is still just Van Ziegs' trial. As the defense rightly recalls, I disembarked the vessel and spent the night in a boarding house in Dunkirk. And as I said yesterday, I signed my name in the accommodations register book. I remembered you saying that. My client clearly isn't guilty, so let's figure out who did it in Scotland Yard. Let's step the extra mile. I wouldn't be an ace attorney if I didn't. All extremely easy to verify and undeniable proof. Oh, talking about Van Zieks. Thoughts on Van Zieks' character? I've definitely he's definitely grown on me. He was a bit much at first, but he's definitely grown on me, especially with this case and stuff. There's no escape this time. You can forget that you're a judge or a government minister. It's time you gave the court an honest answer as a common man. Ooh. You killed Inspector Tobias Gregson and transported his corpse back to Britain. Then you dumped the body in the room on Fresno Street and made it look as if the murder had happened there. That's what really happened, isn't it? Seishiro Jigoku. Let's see that breakdown. Let's see that breakdown. It was that damn trial 10 years ago. That's when all this began. Looking back now, my fate was decided that day. I was doomed already. Oh, that's what he did 10 years ago. What the? It's over. My life is over. How did you do that? That was pretty cool. A British assassin to eliminate a professor in Japan. A Japanese assassin to eliminate a detective in Britain. He practiced gravity magic for these 10 years to do it more fancily. Both assassins will use diplomatic immunity to evade conviction and return safely to their homelands. The assassin exchange request arrived from Britain about 1 year ago. Though it was hardly a request, it was a demand. Yeah, I'm feeling, even though we got the breakdown, I have a feeling there's still a lot more to this trial. Ooh. And for that, you decided to recruit Mr. Asagi. I have a feeling, in true Ace Attorney fashion, we are going to be uncovering the truth about a case that happened a long time ago. Wouldn't be an Ace Attorney game without it. But things didn't go according to plan. Your chosen assassin never made it to Britain, and you found yourself unable to dispatch a replacement because I was already on my way to Britain at that time in Kazuma's place. And that left me with only one option for carrying out my obligation. To eliminate the mark myself, personally. Of course, there was but a single opportunity for me to do that. The International Forensic Science Symposium, I presume. That's right. I decided it would be safest to carry out the plan before my arrival in Britain. So I enlisted the help of my British counterpart and made arrangements for a pretext that would take the inspector to Dunkirk. To lure the man in, he was given a sham mission by the Reaper. What? The Reaper? But there's only one person who could have done that. The mastermind of the entire operation. The Reaper himself. Ugh. Okay. But hear me out. Hear me out. That would be a different trial. Okay? They've already made a point like, oh, you can't talk about this in here because this would be technically be a different crime and stuff. And technically, if you wanted to prosecute Van Zieks for the Reaper stuff, whether he was or wasn't or any of that, there's no case 611. So. just saying. Technically, that wouldn't even be my responsibility, you know? I'm just here to defend him for Gregson's murder. Like, I don't have to prove the Reaper stuff, because the Reaper stuff's a bit irrelevant to this case, okay? The other people here like to throw around irrelevancy. I will too. Is it your first Ace Attorney game? No. This is my last Ace Attorney game.
So, That means that the assassin exchange was... It was all planned by the Reaper?
I'm not at liberty to say anything about my British counterpart. Anyway, the inspector accepted the Reaper's mission and dutifully infiltrated my cabin on the steamship. Oh wow, this is my last as well, though I still haven't played the Right X Layton crossover. Neither have I, actually. I'm not sure if I'm going to. I want to. If I can figure out how to stream it, trying to word it as carefully as possible. If I can figure out how to stream it, I'd love to. I'd love to play it. But that's something I have to research. Anyway, the inspector accepted the Reaper's mission and dutifully infiltrated my cabin on the steamship. I've heard it's good, but I'm lazy. Been putting it off for years. I'd love to own it. You could definitely stream it. Oh, I know! It exists. I've collected a shelter. Have I missed anything? We got the guy, Matt. We got him. Through legal methods. Yes. Through legal methods. Anyway, the inspector accepted the Reaper's mission and dutifully infiltrated my cabin on the steamship. But it was all a trap designed to lead him to France and his own death.
Oh, how awful.
It was past 9 o'clock when I returned to my cabin from the dining hall that evening. I didn't give him time to attack me. I choked him until he lost consciousness. Oh my god. But there was a guard just outside the door, so I left it at that for the time being. Even the slightest noise might have aroused suspicion, so I bided my time, waiting. For the 20 minutes after 10 o'clock, I had intended to finish him by strangulation. The moments before I had the chance, he suddenly came round and went for me in a reckless move. Guys, don't quote me on it, but he seems kinda guilty, just a little. I had received the British issue gun 16 years earlier, being a member of the judiciary as a visiting student. He's totally innocent. I never imagined I'd have to use it for something like that. So the revolver belongs to you, does it? Then the victim was killed inside your cabin on the SS Grouse. Which begs the question. I'm just theory making. Of why you arranged for his body to be discovered in the room on Fresno Street. Yeah. The young judicial assistant over there has already answered that question. There was no way I could take the body up on deck to throw it over the side. That's precisely where all the crewmen were gathered for the evacuation drill. So before the first-class cabin sentries returned, I took the corpse to the refrigeration room. And then on arriving in Dover, you concealed the body in your trunk in order to smuggle it past the border police. I knew I needed to take steps if the police were to be convinced when the body was found in London. In that case, you must have known. You must have had intimate details of Inspector Gregson's intended schedule. Yes, my British counterparts sent me everything I needed to know. The inspector was due at Fresno Street at 5 o'clock that afternoon, in order to meet a man by the name of Hugh Boone, from whom he would take back his police identification. Huh. Oh, so he wasn't even trying to pin the blame on Van Zieks? He was trying to blame it on the other guy? That's funny. I decided that man would be the perfect person to set up as the culprit. That's funny. Oh no. Van Zieks was literally just in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's awful. So I took a hackney carriage over there with the body still in my trunk. Poor Zieks. That must have been just after we took this photograph with you at the hotel then. Yes, I wasn't expecting a welcoming committee. I was more than a little nervous. Funny, you don't look it that much. On Fresno Street, I spotted a young girl selling little firecrackers. Miss Venus, of course. I conceived of the candle trick there and then. So I donned a simple disguise and approached the girl to buy enough firecrackers to replicate a gunshot. What sort of disguise? The red wig? For some reason, the inspector had a bright red hairpiece in his own traveling case. Yep. So I put that on. Although I suspect I drew more attention to myself in that than I would have otherwise.
The hairpiece we found at the scene. The inspector had it ready for the Red-Headed League investigation.
I only arrived at the room at 4:45, so I quickly placed the body on the floor, moved the notice board, and set up my little candle trick. I arranged it so the firecrackers would go off with a bang around 15 minutes later. That's very impressive, actually. So that Mr. Boone, who was due to arrive at 5, would walk straight into a trap. Except, at the last moment, I made a careless blunder. What was that?
I imagine it was the bag of fish and chips.
Huh. I didn't notice that it had fallen out of his overcoat pocket when I moved the body to the refrigeration room. I put it back into his pocket the following morning, but... well, it seems the warmth of the heated cabin had accelerated the decay of the fish. Well, the fish and chips got him. Anyway, that's everything. All the sordid details of what I did. No, there's no witness stand because he broke it. I've heard enough. We've arrived at the truth about the murder of one of the country's most capable and respected police inspectors. Again, yes, again. The witness will be tried in the coming days. For a crime of such a vile nature, you can expect the most severe penalty.
An exchange of assassins. What a foolhardy idea.
Mr. Jigoku, one last detail. Who was your counterpart in Britain? Who was the mastermind behind the assassin exchange? He's not telling us. This episode's not over. He's not telling us. There's still so much unresolved stuff. The professor, the Reaper, the correspondent in Britain. We're not done. Nothing you say now can make matters any worse for you. Just tell us. Enough. That's all. That's all for Great Ace Attorney 3. Dude, I'd cry. I've already told you that I cannot say. Even though as things stand, you may very well never set foot in your homeland again. What is being held against him? What are you waiting for? Can't we get this over with now? It's finished. All of it.
Is he like being blackmailed or something? Why is he refusing to say so bad?
I'm finished. Then, in the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I now pronounce the findings of this court. This man before us has admitted to the willful murder of Tobias Gregson. Hey! Wait. Wait. That's the wrong... That's the wrong side, buddy. You're supposed to put it on the innocent side because this isn't his trial. This is Van Zeke's trial. That's the wrong side. Shaishiro Jigoku, it is the opinion of this court that you should be found. What? Wait. not his trial! That's not how this works! Game over, brother! That's not how this works! And may I remind all those present of the strict confidentiality demanded by this closed court. Well, congrats on your win, Kazuma, because what? Moments ago, Mr. Jigoku signed a written confession, admitting to the murder of Inspector Gregson and the subsequent conveyance of the body. In short, the defendant's innocence— oh, hey, our witness stands back! The defense's innocence has therefore been established beyond doubt. I don't like how quiet Kazuma is.
Oh, wonderful. Well done, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes, thank you.
Is something wrong?
He put the fire on the wrong side, Susanoo! I'm just a little troubled. By his silence, yeah. I was too. I'm waiting to hear it. I'm waiting for the little objection! The true identity of the Reaper of the Bailey and this extraordinary assassin exchange. We do remain in the dark about these mysteries, however. Insofar as the indictment brought against the defendant in this trial, we have reached a conclusion. I have every intention of pursuing both mysteries. As a prosecutor. The black side is down. We need a summation examination. As you wish. Now for the formal adjudication. I hereby declare the defendant, Beric Van Zieks.
Objection!
There it is. Yep. Kazuma's not letting it go that easy. The prosecution calls for adjudication to be deferred. Brother.
That's not how this works, Kazuma.
Counsel. The accused's innocence hasn't been fully established at all. The Reaper has nothing to do with this. And therefore, it would be wrong to deliver a verdict at this time. This is about Inspector Gregson. That is the prosecution's unwavering position. What?
But Jajikoku's already confessed.
Nevertheless, Beric Van Zieks has committed crimes for which he must be punished in a different trial. Well, it would appear you have information that the court needs to hear, Prosecutor Asagi. Kazuma, here I was thinking you were good at your job. Certainly, the murder of Inspector Gregson was actually carried out by Seishiro Jigoku. But it's clear from the witness's testimony that he was coerced into complying with the plot. Oh, that's where you're going with this? Ugh, Kazuma! Into this sick, merciless assassin exchange that you were a part of. That may be true, but so what I want to know is who coerced Jigoku? Who was pulling the strings? The victim went to France, having been ordered on a mission for the Reaper, only to be murdered. In other words, the mastermind behind the assassin exchange is someone in a position to give such an order. As we've already established, the Reaper himself. Sure, I believe it. I believe that's the truth. I believe the Reaper did this. Is the Reaper Van Zieks? No. Well, certainly, that would appear to follow. The prosecution hereby formally accuses the man in the dock, Beric Van Zieks, here we go, of being the Reaper of the Bailey, and furthermore, I'm going to prove his guilt beyond all reasonable doubt. Kazuma. What? Order, order, order! The Reaper of the Bailey is a long-standing mystery council. Are you suggesting you have some new information with which to build a case?
Scotland Yard has already investigated Lord Van Zeeks very thoroughly in that regard, and guess what? He had an airtight alibi every single time. And they found no evidence whatsoever to substantiate the claim that he is the Reaper.
Perhaps, but circumstances have now changed. What do you mean? It's already been established that the assassin exchange was negotiated with Shigoku by the Reaper himself. Which means we now have a new line of questioning by which to identify definitively the man's identity. That is the prosecution's intention here. I must say I'm surprised by quite how tenaciously you appear to want to besmirch my name. I mean, I get it. He's got daddy issues, Van Zeeks. You are guilty of an unforgivable crime, Lord Van Zeeks. And I will bring you to justice for it, whatever it takes. That explains Kazuma's silence before. He'll stop at nothing to finish what Lord Van Zeeks unwittingly started 10 years ago. Isn't Kazuma also guilty for an unforgivable crime? But yeah, you know. Yeah, he was accepting an assassination mission and all that. Very well. Whilst it's extremely irregular, I will on this occasion grant the prosecution further opportunity for witness testimony. The defendant will disclose any and all involvement he has had with the Reaper and the assassin exchange. I thank you, my lord, for guiding the court so wisely. I hereby declare this court to be in session for a supplementary hearing. There we go. That's not fair. The scales are still out of balance. Ah! Yes! The leg slam from the front view is so funny every time. Pray turn a blind eye to the discourtesy as I verify that this vile and unremitting accusation has its source the contents of my hallowed chalice. Lord Van Zeeks. I first had to suffer the pseudonym of the Reaper 10 years ago now. And ever since that time, I've endured the weight of implied guilt that's gone with it. Nice. So I welcome the chance to testify now, and crush those allegations once and for all. I like despite being under arrest, he still gets his little chalices and wine. Good. Then let justice decide, Lord Van Zeeks. The prosecution seeks to begin building its case by calling the accused to the stand as the primary witness, in order that he may answer the accusation brought by the prosecution that he is the Reaper of the Bailey. And what says the defense?
Putting the defendant in the witness stand can be extremely dangerous.
You don't say.
And Kazuma-sama is so emotional at the moment. He's not thinking logically.
You're right that he's not himself. But I knew it'd be like this. Did you? And I came here today determined to face him through whatever might arise. As a lawyer, and as his friend. We're gonna hold his hand and help him through his dead dad issues.
Then that's what we must do.
The defense has no objection, my lord. Very well. Defendant, you will take the witness stand and give formal testimony on the subject of your involvement with the Reaper and the assassin exchange. As you wish, my lord. Can dads and Ace Attorney start being alive and present, please? That's asking too much. The Reaper and the assassin exchange. I've never taken the life of another, nor have I instructed another to kill. Sure. I've been investigating the truth behind the Reaper for years, and I was aware of Gregson's involvement. Yujin Mikatoba is alive and present when he's not having cake with Shulms. True. True. That's the reason why I went to Fresno Street that day, and how I came to discover the body. The point is, no common thread exists between myself, Gregson, and Dr. Wilson. Well, that's just not true. He has 2 daughters and a son with him. Yes, we did discover that last stream. Hence the title of this stream. As confirmed last time, yep. Okay, alive, present, and gay. Yeah. The autopsy, Wilson did Clint's autopsy. Clearly, therefore, there's no reason to suspect me of being behind the assassin exchange. Wait, I mean not gay. Wait, I don't even know. Why are all the good dads gay? Clearly, therefore, there's no reason to suspect me of being behind the assassin exchange. So you deny all accusations by the prosecution. Both that you are the Reaper of the Bailey, and that you masterminded the assassin exchange. I acknowledge that the public at large believe me to be the Reaper. However, there's a fallacy, which I alone am in a position to forswear. Naturally, the prosecution believes the testimony just given by the accused to be untrue. Renosuke Naruhodo. Yes? Let me ask you, why are you here? What really brings you to this courtroom? It's you, Kazuma! It's you! Well, you died. A desire to uncover the truth. Even if the truth proves your client to be guilty. Well, yes. From all my experiences in this courtroom, I've come to realize something. The truth can't be hidden. Sooner or later, it will come out. So it's always my intention to work with my client in pursuit of the truth. I want you to remember what you just said. Yeah, sure. Enough dilatory chatter. Counsel for the defense, proceed to cross-examine the witness. Yes, my lord. I know exactly what you're thinking, Kazuma. I know you're just waiting to point it out. The contradiction you're convinced lies somewhere within this man's testimony. Yeah, I noticed it too.
Never taken the life of another, blah 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 blah.
Investigating the truth, and I was aware of Gregson's involvement. And that day I discovered the body. The point is, no common thread exists between myself, Gregson, and Dr. Wilson. Yes, the connection's Clint. Because Wilson did the autopsy, and there's obviously this photograph with Clint and Barrick and Gregson. So I imagine... I don't know which one to present. I'll go with the autopsy.
Objection!
What is this? An autopsy report? Wait, this is 10 years old. from the autopsy of Lord Clint Van Seeks. What? My brother's autopsy report? Why do you have my brother's autopsy report? I'm pleased to see the defense doesn't intend to run from the undeniable truth. What kind of man would I be if I actually defended my client? Order in court. What reason do you have for presenting a 10-year-old autopsy report to your counsel? The autopsy report of the professor's final victim is an indelible is that a word? Indelible link between Inspector Gregson, Dr. Wilson, and the defendant. That accursed name again. The professor. I've personally researched all of the court records relating to that case. I know that at the time, autopsy was considered sacrilege to the victims' souls. And for a member of the aristocracy like Lord Clint Van Seeks, it was unthinkable. But someone implored the powers that be to allow the autopsy to go ahead. Inspector Gregson. He declared that he was certain he would obtain conclusive proof from the procedure.
And it was Dr. Wilson who conducted the autopsy. His signature is clearly visible on the document.
As promised by Gregson, the autopsy did indeed produce evidence. Evidence that conclusively proved Genshin Asagi was guilty of the murders. In my brother's dying moments, he mustered all his remaining strength to leave that vital clue behind. Indeed, that was the key to indicating the professor for his crimes and the conclusive evidence that convicted him. It enabled Lord Van Seeks here to avenge his brother's senseless death with a marvelous victory in court. Ew.
I'm sensing some tension.
A marvelous victory, was it? I wonder if that's really true. Yeah, I don't think Genshin Asagi was the professor at all. What? Could the same be said if it turned out that the key piece of evidence in question was in fact fabricated? No! Not forged evidence! If the inspector, the coroner, and the prosecutor all colluded together, well, okay. To cast an innocent Japanese man as a mass murderer and send him to his death. Ooh. That's outrageous. The professor was really Herlock Sholmes! No! And now, 10 years later, for some reason, the secret has been threatened and needs protecting. Which is why the inspector and the coroner had to be silenced, isn't it? Oh. By someone in power in Japan and in Britain, using the two killers recruited for the assassin exchange.
Oh. But why would they hire Kazuma?
Order! Order at once! 10 years ago, my father was convicted in this very courtroom as a mass murderer, to be sentenced to death. But it was all a sham, and I swore to myself I'd prove it. Which is why I had to come to Britain. Whatever the cost. Oh, that's why he accepted it. You'll have to forgive me if I feel compelled to toast this vengeful Nipponese's tenacity of purpose here. However, he who fails to quash his emotions in the courtroom has failed as a lawyer. Damn. Come on, Kazuma, you know this won't wash. You're claiming your father was misrepresented in a trial that took place a whole decade ago. You must see that without evidence, that's nothing more than a wild accusation. As it happens, I have evidence. Okay, then show it. What? As the court has heard, I crossed the channel to France with Gregson on the 31st. I went with him on the pretext of being the assassin recruited to kill Seishiro Jigoku. But my true intentions were to make the inspector tell me the truth. What truth? The truth about the evidence, and he acknowledged what I've already deduced. There's a closely guarded secret about what went on in that autopsy 10 years ago. What? A secret? I know nothing of any secret. While we waited for my supposed mark in Jigoku's cabin, I drew my clan's illustrious sword Karuma before the inspector's eyes. He very quickly understood what my true motive was. Right, I see. You're that Osagi's young lad, are you? And what, gonna cut me down with that thing, is that it? That will very much depend on the answers you give to my questions. I want to know what really happened 10 years ago. The truth, that's all. Before we get into it, let me make one thing clear. I still believe your father was the professor, there's no doubt in my mind. But unfortunately back then, we didn't have the evidence we needed to make the crime stick. Oh. So, you admit it then? The evidence used in my father's trial was fabricated? It was for good of the country. Anyway, I was just following orders. Orders? What exactly did you do? Speak. I'm not saying another word. Even if your life depends on it. That's right. Even then.
What?
Oh, scary. So that's when the tip of the sword broke.
Oh, Kazuma-sama.
If the results of Clint Van Zeeks' autopsy were fabricated, then the investigating officer Gregson and the lead coroner Wilson must have known about it. And they could only have been ordered to pervert the course of justice in that way by one man. The man leading the case for the prosecution, Barrick Van Zeeks. In other words, the defendant did have cause to organize this exchange of assassins.
I don't see that. I don't see Van Zeeks fabricating evidence to win this trial. Because Van Zeeks would want to know, like, and be certain who's the one that killed his brother. Like, I don't see him doing it. Exactly. And as was established earlier, it has to have been the Reaper himself who liaised with Jigoku Japan to arrange the exchange. No one would ever fabricate evidence. No, no, no. So it follows that the Reaper's true identity can only be that of the man who stands accused in this courtroom today, Barrick Van Zeeks.
Objection!
Kazuma Asagi. What? What do you want? What you've just told the court, are you absolutely certain of your facts? Did Gregson really fabricate evidence for that trial 10 years ago? Yeah. I was like, there's no way Van Zeeks would have let that slide. I heard it with my own ears, his shameful admission. In that case, I know the name of the Reaper. Then please, tell the court. I have a very strong guess I know who. What? Lord Van Zeeks? I gave no such orders. I know that for certain. It's Edgeworth. Holy aura. It's Edgeworth. which narrows down the remaining possibilities to one. But like pre-Edgeworth. Carmela Gusto. If Lord Van Zieks isn't the one behind all this, then yes, there's only one other person who could have done something like that. Maybe the previous prosecutor before Van Zieks took over? Excelsius winner! I believe I know who it is too. You- Why am I the only one out of the loop here? I just had a feeling this name was gonna come up. Yeah, I have a feeling there's a reason this guy's in court today. The true identity of the infamous Reaper of the Bailey is Herlock Sholmes. Lock him up. Herlock Sholmes! Lock him up. Jinx. Yeah, it's gotta be. I mean, you're the most suspicious guy in the world, and you were also the previous prosecutor for the Professor case, so you would have had motive.
Take that!
The only person who could have arranged the assassin exchange and manipulated the autopsy results is the Lord Chief Justice himself, Lord Male Strongheart. Ooh, it's scary. Lord Strongheart. Yeah, how's it feel, Kazuma, working under him? Yes, it's true that 10 years ago, the defendant handled the prosecution of the professor in court. I mean, he's the most insanely suspicious person in the duology, and this includes all the very obvious culprits. Yeah, he's been suspicious from, like, the beginning. I was like, I'm just waiting. Waiting for the opportunity to say it, because, man. Yes, it's true that 10 years ago, the defendant handled the prosecution of the professor in court, but you know who did it before him? But he only took over the case after his brother, Lord Clint Van Zieks, had been killed. I can only assume that this is the most inappropriate joke in British judicial history. Accusing the judge is nuts, by the way. Well, Lord Van Zieks, especially when there's not a jury. 10 years ago, I was very new to my profession, but I had a burning desire to avenge my brother's death, so I pleaded for control of the case. The investigation to that point, the supplication of the lords to allow my brother's corpse to be examined, all the evidence I was given, the autopsy reports, it all came from you. I've spent my life since then believing I was in your debt for the way you stood aside and let me handle the trial. But I see now. I was very much mistaken. It was a hugely influential force that caused the inspector and the coroner to break the law 10 years ago. And that same force was still felt a decade later on the other side of the world by Seishiro Jigoku. Lord Strongheart, everything falls into place when we recognize that you are the Reaper of the Bailey. He has the influence and power to do it. I love the timing of the leg slams. The court awaits your response, my lord. This may very well go down in British judicial history, but I assure you it is no joke. Consider this a formal accusal by the defense. Nice. It doesn't warrant a response. I don't have to say anything. I'm the one in control here. Guilty! A formal accusal. Don't be absurd. The defense's claims are utter nonsense. A wild fantasy at best. You're not gonna defend yourself? You claim there was some wrongdoing with Lord Clint Van Zieks' autopsy. That's utterly untrue.
Objection!
But I heard it from Gregson's own lips. He admitted to it. And where is your evidence?
Well, you see, I had this little recording device pinned to me. It's this fancy new technology, you see.
What? Gregson's dead now, unless you were thinking of summoning a ghost to the stand. You mean to say... I forget how the system works in your little backwater country. Damn. But in the courts of the British Empire, without evidence, there is no case.
Me. Evidence is everything in court.
We need to go to Karai. I have no intention of entertaining some wild fantasy that can't possibly be substantiated by anyone or anything.
Quick, we need to bring in a spirit medium.
Order in court! Following Inspector Gregson's murder, and in the light of Dr. Wilson's death as well, there's really no one left who could testify about the events 10 years ago, is there? It's signed by Dr. John H. Wilson, who carried out the procedure, though Professor Mikatoba actually penned the report. Guess who's still alive? So in the Western continuity, do you think it was Randolph's kid or grandkid who moved to California? Oh, good question. I guess it would depend. There's really no one left who could testify the events 10 years ago, is there? So that was the real purpose of the assassin exchange. This court has no business raking over the coals of a case that was concluded a decade ago. The accusal brought by the prosecution and the defense is categorically denied. Yeah, of course you would deny it. I take it there are no objections. Of course there's an objection! What? Brother, Kazuma. He's more or less waited his whole life for this moment. Is there really nothing else we can do now? Is there really no other avenue we can go down in pursuit of the truth of what happened all those years ago? If only there was someone who could testify about Clint Van Zieks' autopsy. There is someone! He just so happens to be in the country, too. He's gone into extraordinary lengths to cover his tracks. Even so far as dispatching an assassin all the way to Japan to ensure Dr. Wilson's silence. And Dr. Seif won't say anything against Strongheart. But there's still one ray of hope. Oh, so many intense stares. Actually, there is one person. One person who could still testify about that autopsy. Yeah, there is. Don't be ridiculous. There's no one left. Who, Ranosuke? Who? Tell me. Kazuma, Please. This trial can't end. Not yet. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for the truth. Ooh. The person the defense would like to call to the stand to testify about the autopsy of Lord Clint Van Zieks is... Let's go, Professor Mikatoba! I'm not doing this for you, Babaka!
Take that!
Let's bring Mikatoba! Heaven help us, another Japanese. An expert in forensic medicine, my lord, Professor Yujin Mikatoba. 16 years ago, he came to London with Seishiro Jigoku and Genshin Asagi as a visiting student. And what could his testimony possibly tell us? Guess who was present at the autopsy?
Professor Mikatoba was the primary assistant during the autopsy in question. He was also the person who actually penned the report.
Incorrect. The autopsy was carried out by the coroner, Dr. Wilson. The report carries his signature.
It was the primary assistant's duty to keep a written record of the coroner's work during the procedure. In actual fact, the coroner merely read over the report at the end and signed it. Remember when Ranosuke met Strongheart and said he was willing to do everything Kazuma was here to do, and Strongheart was interested in that response? Oh no!
In other words, Professor Mikatoba witnessed the entire autopsy from start to finish. The defense demands that Professor Mikatoba be summoned as a witness as a matter of urgency. Whatever really happened in that autopsy laboratory 10 years ago is something only he can tell us. Denied. I knew it. I knew he was going to say that. The defense's demand is denied. What? It's not fair that this guy has all the power here.
But if Professor Mikatoba is in London at this very moment, we could summon him to the stand in minutes.
No, of course he's not going to agree to it. Strongheart has no intention of summoning anyone who knows.
He's too concerned about protecting himself.
Prosecutor Asugi, let me refresh your memory, as you seem to have forgotten the prosecution's stance. Do your job, prosecutor. Only minutes ago, you accused the defendant of being the Reaper and of masterminding the assassin exchange. I did. Yes. So present your evidence for those claims and make your case complete. Oh! At this time, I don't have the requisite evidence, but that's exactly why we need witness testimony. The professor case is closed. There are no clues in the distant past that will bolster your argument today. I'm afraid to say, Prosecutor Asugi, that you would appear to be possessed by the spirit of your late homicidal father. Oh my god! Now, as I stated earlier, this court has already reached a conclusion with respect to the matter at hand. Inspector Gregson was murdered by Japanese Supreme Court Judge Shishiro Jigoku. As for any hidden circumstances that may exist, they'll be investigated in due course by the proper authorities.
Objection!
But we all know what will happen. It's gonna be covered up. That'll just give the mastermind of the whole venture time to cover his tracks again. You! And give you time to do it. By which you mean me. Yeah! Your punishment for this contemptible behavior will be decided at a later date. As for you, Prosecutor Asugi, you will be remanded following these proceedings. Willingly, I trust, since you gave your word. This futile game of revenge is over. Young Master Asugi. Oh. Dude, this is for real cinema. That will be all. Breakdown 2. Oh, wait, oh! I didn't get to finish reading his line. Who's holding it? Who is it? Let's go! Mr. Sholmes! I'm breaking down, dance-wise, that is. Hell yeah. Let's go. This is no place for amateur detection, Mr. Sholmes. May I remind you that these proceedings are closed to the general public. You will leave the courtroom at once.
Objection!
Wait, that's not Sholmes' theme. Mr. Sholmes was instrumental in the apprehension of Shishiro Jigoku before he fled from Europe. The court should hear what he has to say. Lord Mael Strongheart, it's imperative that you refrain from bringing this trial to an end at this stage. Is it really? And why would that be? You need only recall your own words from the opening of this trial to answer that question, if I may. We will stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings. That's the legendary duo dance of deduction theme. Surely it can't be. But the shock of being accused of being the Reaper yourself has erased that from your memory, can it? The whole truth, sir, has already been uncovered. It would seem that we have a great many important members of the judiciary present here today. I put it to you, my dear fellows, should the trial end at this juncture? After all, why have you been invited to attend? To nod along to the prevarications of your superiors? Yeah! Order, order in court! It seems to me that we stand before a door that leads to a new era of legal practices. A door that is ajar. Let us emerge from the shadows of the Reaper's a decade-long ascendancy. For you and you alone, my dear fellows, have the power to push this door open now. The auditors in the gallery have no rights to express an opinion on court proceedings. Silence. He's right. The judge has absolute authority here.
Yes, if he calls the trial to an end, it must end. But what will that really do? I sense dark things occurring behind the scenes. Dark things indeed.
Is there a single person here present who can honestly say he doesn't feel the same? But the trial should go on. Summon a witness.
That's right. We need to clear this up before the young Japanese fellow is remanded in custody.
So how much of what has happened at Sholmes worked out by now? My lord, you assured those present that you would uncover the whole truth here.
Vindicate yourself of this outlandish accusation.
The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That's the very foundation of British law. A toast to my dependable colleagues in the gallery. On with the trial. On with the trial. Oh, they're yelling testify. That's cute. Well, my lord, you hear the voice of British justice, I take it. I think you'll find it would be rather awkward to silence. That's so cool. The court will recess briefly. I have no intention of shrinking from these allegations. Bailiff, arrange for the subpoena of the witness at once. As soon as the gentleman arrives at the courthouse, we shall reconvene. A recess won't be necessary, my lord. Pardon? Mikotoba is a close friend of mine. Oh, I bet. He accompanied me today and is waiting in the antechamber as we speak. Of course he is. I do believe he's been enjoying a little trip down memory lane, in fact. What? Professor Mikotoba is here in the courthouse? Mr. Sholmes, you didn't know this would happen, did you? My dear fellow, no one is in a better position to answer that question than you, surely. I wasn't just asking for the fun of it, you know. Well, I must thank you for your assistance in this matter, Mr. Sholmes. However, you are of no further use here. Kindly leave the courtroom at once. But of course, in truth, I find myself rather busy now as a result of these developments. Mr. Naruhodo? Yes? I trust you have Iris's little lucky charm with you. Absolutely. Still in my pocket. Sholmes after saying no more games. She sends her regards, and a reminder. If you find yourself at a dead end, the ear's at your disposal. Just one tug, if you please. Cute. Oh, of course. In that case, the trial will continue without delay. Bailiff, show the witness to the stand. Let's go! Sholmes the goat. So it's Lord Strongheart. He's the Reaper of the Bailey. Where exactly is this trial gonna take me, I wonder? Just how deep am I about to be plunged into the blackness of the abyss? Well, I'm ready. I'm ready to head into the heart of this maelstrom. Nice, very good. and confront whatever horrors it tries to drown me under. Be continued. Ow! Oh, this is so good! When I booted up the game, I did not expect a detective I liked more than Gumshoe. Oh, I love Sholmes. Trial Part 3. Well, oh, this is amazing. This case is so good. Well, my friends, thank you all so much for tuning in to the stream today. I'm gonna send you off on a raid. I'll be back next week for the finale. We're finishing this game next week. Oh my god. There we go. Thank you all for joining me. I can't stream Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I probably won't be able to stream Monday. So I'll be back again Tuesday at the latest. But yeah. Thank you all for joining me. Oh my gosh. This is a really good case. This is a very, very well done finale. I'm loving it so much. It's so good. I need to go rest my voice, and my nose is getting stuffy. So we're gonna end it here. Thank you for joining me. Sending you all off in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.